All right, let's get started here. We've got a lot of folks joined. Thank you so much. So I'll introduce myself quickly. I'm Matt Durgovich. Can I get the next slide, please? And I'd love to introduce the rest of our speakers. So I'm Matt, that giant portrait on the left, and I work in the engineering context for Vivox. So a couple years ago, I took over helping to run the team, and it's been a fantastic adventure and journey. I've actually been with Vivox for a while. Uh, and both pre and post acquisition. So I'm happy to see all the growth and change we've been able to do. I'm joined today by Andrew Hubbard and Esther Hahn, who are our product management folks who are helping us partner up with engineering and build the right things for all of you users. And Eric Klipp, who works directly with our customers to make sure they get the best out of our technology. Can I get the next slide, please? So I want to quickly cover today's agenda. We'll do an intro, and we'll talk about how Vivox is really your go-to solution for any engine, any platform. We mean that, even though Unity is who we are and who helps us build all the things we're doing. We are very much supportive of any engine tech you want to use. We want to be there with you and help you support your game. How to get started in Unity. We'll have a great presentation on that coming from Andrew Hubbard, I believe. And we'll finally close things out with a discussion of our roadmap and leave plenty of time for Q&A. Next slide, please. So I want to take us through a quick intro to Vivox itself. Company was founded in 2005 by telecom and voice over IP veterans, and it was acquired by Unity in 2019. As the market leader, Vivox provides best-in-class communication services for some of the biggest games around published using Unreal, Unity, and custom game engines, as I mentioned. And we have highly experienced operations integrations teams. We give you 24/7, 365 support. Make sure your players are connected and your game stays up, at least for the comms perspective. Vivox is developed and supported by experts in audio hardware, machine learning, large-scale game operations, game development, systems architecture. We have a lot of cross-disciplinary folks who help us make this service the reality it is today. And the next slide, please. So a quick timeline here of where things sort of came from. It does not cover everything that has happened, but as I mentioned, giving a brief history here, Vivox was founded in 2005. Yeah, some of that code is still around in our code bases, and to provide more like general purpose in-app communication software. But Vivox's biggest success as a small company trying to grow and find product market fit was getting voice and text chat to game titles, specifically MMORPGs and other virtual world games. So leaning into that a bit, we saw EVE Online was one of the major success titles. And then Second Life in 2007 really cemented it for the team. That was also the first title we had that included our 3D voice chat capability, which involves audio from voice participants getting farther away as you move around in the virtual world or louder as you get closer. And so these studios shared their success stories about Vivox, and the business being what it was at that time, word of mouth kind of helped carry things through. Vivox got a little bit more traction. I joined Vivox in 2017 in time to witness PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, otherwise known as PUBG, bring the highest voice volume to Vivox ever. And we spent the next year refining voice chat for Fortnite, which is, of course, Epic's game. And we were included as part of their iOS, Android ports, and the E3 2018 launch of Fortnite on the Nintendo Switch. Vivox is cross-platform out of the box, and that meshed really well with how Epic was thinking about their game. They wanted no boundaries, full crossplay, all features available regardless of platform. In early 2019, we were acquired by Unity, and at almost that same time, we powered over 8 million concurrent speakers for the Marshmallow Fortnite in-game concert. That was our single largest event ever. The service held up. We knew we could scale, but there were definitely some tense moments there and a lot of monitoring, a little bit of stress. We're all super excited that we were able to pull it off, and we're incredibly proud of the success that showed with our product and our teams. Vivox is pretty robust, but it wasn't built with mobile devices in mind, but their varying CPU and GPU capabilities, audio support, and fickle network connections. So 2021 saw a pretty substantial investment to bring our tech to mobile in a first-class way. So our customers, like yourselves, can confidently rely on quality voice and text on all their target platforms. 5.18 represents the culmination of over a year's worth of work, all the way in the depths of our tech stack to optimize for iOS and Android. We're really proud of these results. Next slide, please. Here's some really basic stats to kind of get you grounded in what we're talking about with scale. We're extremely scalable. Do over 120 million monthly active users, over 50 billion minutes of voice per month, guaranteed 99.9% uptime worldwide. What does that guarantee mean? It means if we break your service level agreement, we end up giving you a refund for the amount of time that we're down. Nevertheless, we've found this year, I just got confirmation from our teams, we haven't had a single incident of that yet this year. So we've really invested in the quality and stability of our platforms. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to read this slide to you. You can all read yourselves, but I want to emphasize some of these points. Crossplay. What we mean by that is Vivox doesn't discriminate between your game on iOS, PC, PlayStation, what have you. You get a consistent API and user experience, and your players get high quality voice and text, no matter where they are. Vivox is part of a fantastic new offering called Unity Game Services, which just went GA last month. It bundles everything you need to build a multiplayer game. Unity Game Services is engine agnostic. Vivox is no exception. We have happy customers on any engine. Community, that's something we're thinking a lot about. We have future products planned to bring safety features to voice and text chat, like toxicity detection and flagging. We can't talk too much about that here, but do let us know if you're interested in hearing more. We're excited to help developers maintain healthy communities and allow them to thrive. And we have some great accessibility features like text-to-speech, speech-to-text. We've seen customers use these as assistive technologies for disabled gamers, unlocking play for those previously unable or unwilling to join in. These features are fully integrated, meaning you can write code to take input text, generate speech, play that speech into a voice chat session, or record to disk or some other feature. There's lots of possibilities here for composing these features. We'd love to hear what you'd come up with. Next slide, please. So coming back around to this crossplay idea, Vivox is trusted on PC and console, and now on mobile and VR platforms. Each platform brings its quirks. We work really hard to make a consistent experience for everyone. Next, please. I want to highlight two major features that have come out as part of 5.18. And these are really critical to helping you succeed on the mobile platform. Automatic connection recovery and smart platform audio management. ACR is a must for mobile devices. Players expect their services to continue operating no matter what circumstances. So if you have internet, better work. We're proud to say ACR handles many, many corner cases. So if your player, for instance, wanders away from Wi-Fi, your device switches to cellular, and it comes back to Wi-Fi, we've got that covered. If your app is backgrounded while the player takes a phone call from their mom, say, voice comes back when they return. We've also added some useful events to let your games know what's happening so you can react appropriately. ACR is available on iOS and Android today in 5.18 with console support coming soon. Smart platform audio management is a simplification of the vagaries of mobile OS audio subsystems. Audio support on mobile devices varies wildly, and voice chat is a specialized case of that. There's some powerful hardware-assisted features like acoustic echo cancellation and automatic gain control, but they only work with certain peripherals or in certain modes or settings. You want these turned on so your players can hear chat over your music and sound effects. And no longer do you need to pay close attention to exactly those details of what audio mode is activated or what devices are plugged in. Vivox's SDK handles it for you. This includes Bluetooth, which, given it's 2022, you would think would be just another device we could support. But unfortunately, it includes some quirks. So we're happy to say we streamlined that. We've ironed those things out. We can provide a great experience with Bluetooth now. We cover all those warts for you. Now you have a seamless experience switching between wired, wireless, and built-in audio devices. Smart platform audio management is available in 5.18 for iOS and Android. Next, please. And so for now, I'd like to hand things over to Eric Klipp, who's going to take us through why you can build confidently with Vivox on any engine and any platform. Take it away, Eric.
Thanks, Matt. As Matt said, my name is Eric Klipp. I'm a solutions architect here at Unity, specializing in Vivox. For the Next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through a few client spotlights. These spotlights will show you how Vivox can be used to add in-game chat to build games in any engine and running on any platform. Let's dive in. Next slide, please. The first game spotlight is one of my personal favorites. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was built in Unreal for PCs and consoles. If you're not aware of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, it is a first-person shooter developed by Gearbox, released in March earlier of this year. This game is similar to Gearbox's incredibly successful Borderlands series, but with a twist. The popular character from Borderlands 2 and 3, Tiny Tina, is hosting a Dungeons & Dragons style game, and you play as one of the characters going through this wacky adventure. You can either play solo or with a group of friends, no matter which platform you're on. Gearbox came to us with a very simple need: to allow players from PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox consoles to be able to communicate quickly and easily. With our Unreal wrapper of the Vivox SDK, they were able to implement and test our voice services in a very short period of time. And since they knew we could scale with their player base, Gearbox had no worries about us being able to handle 250,000 players on launch day. Now, Vivox is powering more than 5 million minutes of speech in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands every day. Next slide, please. This next title showcases the use of Vivox in a VR game made in Unity, Ramen VR's Zenith: The Last City. Zenith is a JRPG-inspired VR open world, massively multiplayer online role-playing game that launched earlier this year for Oculus, PlayStation VR, and Steam VR. Ramen VR wanted to ensure that they had a natural feeling in-game comms to help create an immersive experience and keep their community engaged. They easily integrated our 3D positional voice chat to allow players to communicate with the players around them and enjoy the game together. Don't just take my word for it. Let's hear from Ramen VR themselves. Next slide.
Building a community is just as important as building the actual game itself.
It's pretty much the reason why you would choose to play online versus offline.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We use Vivox with spatialized audio. As people come closer to you, they get louder and you can hear if people are behind you, in front of you. So it adds to this feeling of realism. You could just turn to the person next to you and say, hey, do you want to do something?
You guys want to do some swimming?
I didn't even notice.
Voice communication is extra important for Zenith, more so than, old school style video games, because we don't have a keyboard, we don't have a text box, we don't have anything like that. So to communicate with other people, that's pretty much your only option, is you have to talk to them. Gameplay wise too, like that can be useful if I'm playing the healer or whatever and I need to throw a Healy bomb that way, or they're doing something, or like telling me to go somewhere.
Well, we have multiple channels for like voice chat in our game. Vivox makes it super easy to say oh, you're just in global chat, or maybe you're in party chat, you're in guild chat, and it's super easy to switch between those.
The fact that you can talk to each other in game makes things feel so much more real.
At the end of the day, we're making something for people to enjoy together, and we put a lot of effort into making it easier to connect with other people.
My hope is that for games in the future, they become more inclusive and more welcoming, and that they allow people to truly express themselves in ways that they can't do in real life.
Hey, Eric, come on off
Yep,
mute.
got it.
Got it, cool.
Sorry about that. The last title I'd like to highlight is Standoff 2 by Axable, which showcases the use of Vivox mobile optimized features. Standoff 2 is a mobile-only multiplayer first-person shooter in which two teams face off. Standoff 2 launched way back in 2017 and added Vivox voice chat in 2021. They want to allow players to better coordinate and to increase player retention. The players love the inclusion of voice chat, and it shows with the day 90 retention rate increase of 63%. That in turn has increased their average revenue per user by 12%. By allowing players to communicate directly through voice in Standoff 2, the in-game community grew significantly as players were more engaged and building real connections with other players in their game. I'm going to hand off the mic to Andrew Hubbard.
Next slide, please. Thank you. Thanks, Eric. Hi, guys. Actually, can you go just one back? Yep. I'm Andrew. I'm a PM, that product manager that worked on the onboarding and self-serve experience for Vivox and Unity. In the next couple slides, I'm just going to walk through how to get started with Vivox. The new experiences that you will face. I think a lot of you wrote that you haven't worked with Vivox before, so that's a great thing. But those who have, just walk through the changes that we have from the self-serve experience from the Vivox dev portal to the Unity dashboard. Next slide, please. Great. So just quick introduction. So Matt actually went through some of what the Unity Gaming Services are, also known as UGS, just in case you're in some of the forums and you're wondering what UGS is. The Unity dashboard is also known as UDash. So UGS has launched the Unity dashboard, basically 15 different services that are made for you, developers who want to build games. Vivox is one of the 15 currently. That continues to grow. Each quarter will probably add more features there, so that's a wonderful thing for developers. But the Vivox service has now been added to the Unity Gaming Services. It's on the Unity dashboard. And a big part of that is changing our onboarding experience. So it's completely self-serve now. Users can come to the Unity dashboard, register, and find Vivox under the multiplayer services. A big part of the onboarding, I'm going to walk through some of the features right now and then give a quick demo on the next slide. But on the onboarding piece, I want to walk through just basically how the user is going to go through the experience of getting started. So the first feature that a user will come in and see is a pricing calculator. This is a feature that we're very thrilled about, only because it's very transparent to our developers and customers coming in. If you have a sense of how many PC you're going to have a month per month, you can understand how much the Vivox pricing will cost. It's very transparent. Like I said, you input your number of PCU and it'll give you an estimate of the cost per month. And I say estimate because you could add other services like support or hosting and other things that will be coming soon, like speech to text and SSR, which Matt mentioned earlier as well. The next part of the big change is the user experience itself. So the onboarding, the user experience going through, we have a step-by-step process. There are basically 4 steps. You create a project, you choose any SDKs you're looking to get. If you're making your game with Unity, it's very simple. There's instructions to import through the Unity editor. Next up is samples, getting the samples into your game so you can understand how Vivox works. This is another area that we will continue to improve on based off of feedback that we're getting from developers like you. Not everyone wants to read pages and pages of documentation. They just want to understand how the Vivox product works. So we are adding samples that you can just drop into your project and understand how the Vivox product works. Lastly, it's just integrating with Unity. If you're making a game with Unity, again, we're engine agnostic, but if you're making a game with Unity, it's simple as importing the actual package, importing the sample, and then you're up and running. You can actually get your first voice experience within minutes, which we'll show on the demo. And then circling back to close the loop on this, you can go back to Unity dashboard and actually see the metrics of PCU growing up. And we'll actually see that in the demo as well. But that's closing the loop on the onboarding experience and a step-by-step process of why we're doing this and what we implemented onto the Unity dashboard. Service management is another feature that we recently added, which is the ability to toggle on and off Vivox as a service through the Unity dashboard. If your game is growing unexpectedly, which is a good thing, but maybe unexpected for you, where you need to turn off the service, you can actually go right into the Unity dashboard and turn off the service that no other users can join. And the users that you have maintained on your project or your game can stay. It just stops it just in case you have a budget or anything that happens testing for whatever reason, your voice usage is growing dramatically for some reason. You have the ability to turn your service on and off without actually reaching out to anyone from our support team, which is a great feature. And again, feedback that we were receiving from some of our customers, and that's why it was implemented. And something that we implemented, I think, probably 3 months ago now, that went live. Self-pay. Again, a lot of you or most of you may have not experienced Vivox before, but if you have and you were on the Vivox Dev portal, it was a painful process and we didn't offer self-payment or payment through our developer portal. This is something that was implemented through all of Udash across all services. That is a huge win for this new launch, just because, again, if you have 3 or 4 or 10 different services, you could actually just have a credit card in there and it'll pay based off of your usage every month. Cost, usage, and reporting is a great tool, again, for all of Udash, for all services, to kind of forecast how your projects are doing, what the cost is, what the usage is going to be, monthly, weekly, down to the hour. Vivox is a monthly forecast based off of how our pricing is set up. That's another big win on the onboarding side. And this is kind of the full cycle of the user experience that you will go through for Vivox on Udash. Next slide, please. So this slide may not mean much to a lot of you new users or prospective users who are looking to get into Vivox, but we had a self-serve process before. It's called the Vivox Developer Portal. And why did we move over to Udash? Basically, Vivox was a standalone self-serve portal. So any customer that was in there didn't have access to all of the other Unity gaming services. So this move over to the Udash with UGS is huge. If you're building a game, you have access to all these 14 other tools to build your game. Everything is in one place. It was a big launch that we wanted to do that helped the experience dramatically. Again, access to other tools. And we recreated the user experience altogether from start to finish, start to implementation. It took about 30 days on average, 30 days for a customer to get started with Vivox on the old dev portal. And now it takes about 5 minutes. If you're experienced, you could do it in a couple minutes, and we'll walk through the demo in a few minutes and you can see that. But just enhancing the experience, giving our developers, our customers direction on where to go in the flow when they get onboarded and create a project, just giving that sense of, this is what I do next. Great. How do I implement the product? Great. That was the main reason why we wanted to come over, besides the implementation with all the other UGS services. Another big step for us was the Unity integration. So when you create a project in Udash, you can actually link the project right into the Unity editor. So no more copying and pasting, looking for your issuer and keys, dragging them over, bringing them over to the Unity editor. It's there when you link your project, and everything comes over. So, I mean, this is a big win for us, like I said, and the ability with service management to turn your service off from Udash right to the editor without actually reaching out to anyone else. With the implementation to Udash comes all the Udash tools, self-pay, like I mentioned before, reporting and metrics, and this idea of interoperability. So when you're building a multiplayer game, I'm saying multiplayer for Vivox specifically, we have the ability to be interoperable with other products like Relay and Lobby. There are samples for that as well, and that's just the first step. We're still kind of in our infancy of doing the interoperability with other services, but it's a great aspect of the Udash and all of UGS coming together as one, making this a lot easier for developers to build their games. And lastly, it's completely self-serve. So basically, from beginning to end, you can come in, register, use our product, and not have to reach out to anyone to get you up and running and get to your first voice experience and even launch your game. If you want to manage your product, anything you want to do can be done without actually touching base with anyone from the Unity side, which is, again, different from the dev portal if you are a dev portal user. There's no waiting. You're up and running. You're in. You have a project on production. You're integrating Vivox, and you're going. I'm going to start with a demo right here of just the onboarding experience. So there are a lot of features here that I won't touch upon, like the self-pay piece, reporting and metrics, but I want to show you how to get started using Udash and the Vivox product. So this is a Unity dashboard. This is where all the services live. The first thing I'm going to do is create a game, create a new project. Vampires and Watermelons is my old one, but I'm going to create a new one just for this webinar. Give it a fancy name. Sounds like a fun game. So now that I have my project, I'm going to go look for Vivox and actually get started with Vivox. So it's under multiplayer. I'm going to find Vivox. There it is. And then I'm going to set up Vivox. some disclaimers about payment. So I have the option Unity, Unreal, and Custom, but I'm going to build a Unity Android game. So I'm going to choose Unity. And this is directions on how to link my project in the editor. This is something I'll do after I get through my onboarding setup. Next, like I said, I'm building an Android game. So I'm going to actually find the Android SDK and install the package. So it's in the editor. So I could just actually go to the package manager. Here are the instructions and install it right from the package manager. So I'm done. And there's some samples here that I can actually use in the game, but I'm just going to go straight to the editor. I'm going to link my project. Just select my organization and project that I want to link. Next, I'm going to get the package. In the package manager, I'm just going to search for it. As you have to make sure you go to Unity registry so you can see all the packages. And Vivox is right there at the top, and then I can install that right in the package manager. Takes a second. As you can see, the samples are right there in the package. And the next thing I'll do is import the sample. Takes a second. So now that the samples import, I could actually drop it into my project by going to this, finding the scene. So this is the chat channel sample. Push play, and then I can actually get to my first voice experience. Give myself a name. And now I'm connected to a channel. And I'm talking right now, and you can see my voice over there on the left. So that's actually connected to the channel, give my first voice experience. I could type in the text, have that pop up. There it is. And with that, I can go back to the dashboard and then actually go to the metrics page on the overview and then see that my first PCU is showing right there based off of that sample. So I just got to my first voice experience in a few minutes. And we want to make this process as easy as possible. We want to continue to add features and whatnot. So with your help and your feedback is what we're looking for. We want to continue to make this process much, much better. And we can exit the demo. And with that, I will pass it on to Esther, who will go through the roadmap.
Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone. My name is Esther. I'm a product manager focused on mobile growth and text, and I'm here to share the Vivox public roadmap of 2022. Next slide. So please note that you can view this roadmap and roadmaps of many other Unity services at unity.com/roadmap, and you can see what we have recently released and what we are working on and what we have planned for the future. And if you don't see what you want or what you need, you can submit your ideas directly on the website, and the feedback will go directly to the respective teams for consideration. So Matt earlier talked about what we have recently released in 5.18, but I do want to reiterate that in this release, we really focused on bringing mobile audio improvements to enhance your player's experience on mobile platforms. As a reminder, automatic connection recovery, ACR, ensures that players are having smooth audio even when they are moving on the go and playing on their phones. Smart platform audio management provides a player their best audio experience based on what audio device they are using and what mobile platform that they're playing on. Next, please. And now for things in progress. For the rest of the year and beyond, we are working on 3 key areas of communications. So first, we are upgrading our existing text service by adding some persistence and player moderation. The first features to be available will be text chat history, chat filter, and anti-flooding. Chat history allows players to see recent messages in a channel that they are participating in. Chat filter will detect words on a block list and replace them with 4 asterisks to mask the original word. And anti-flooding is another moderation feature to limit frequency and length of text messages. And this will basically prevent bad actors from flooding a channel with texts that are too long or too frequent. And next is moderation, but in voice. So we are really focused on helping our creators moderate their player communities and ultimately grow them. And one way is to provide additional context of reported incidents. Voice toxicity analysis is an ML-based voice analysis service, and this will record player voice streams and provide you with an analysis of the recording as well as the recording itself. And through this, we are aiming to empower community managers and our customers to take action on a reported player with more context and with more confidence, and ultimately, like I said, improve and grow your communities. And last is Unity Mixer integration. We are integrating Vivox more tightly for our Unity customers with the Unity engine, and we are conforming to Unity engine sound design workflows. So what that basically means is that sound designers can now manipulate voice chat without software engineers, and this will enable leaner and younger studios to integrate Vivox voice into their game more easily. Next, please. And finally, I want to close by sharing some of what we are planning to work on next. In addition to making our text offering stronger, we want to make it safer as well. And we're going to be offering analysis that looks at the whole context of a conversation rather than message by message. And we are hoping to identify negative or positive player interactions so that our developers can take action to prevent negative behavior and also reinforce positive behavior. Again, we are dedicated to not only providing quality comms, but also helping you grow your player communities in a safe way. And next, we want to improve cross-platform audio experience for your players. We recognize that every hardware platform behaves differently, and some platforms have more restrictions than others, which is not acceptable for every game genre and also every game developer. So we want to bring consistency to voice chat, despite the different hardware platforms that players are playing on. So we'll start with acoustic echo cancellation and automatic gain control. And these will help all players to hear each other more clearly, no matter what hardware they are playing on. And you don't have to worry about the quality of voice for your players when you are expanding your game to more platforms. So those are what we have on our roadmap right now. And again, this is available for you online, so you can stay updated on what we are working on, and then you can submit your ideas and have your voices heard. And with that, we are going to move on to Q&A. This will be moderated by Nick. He is another product manager on our team.
Hi, thanks, Esther. As mentioned in the chat, if anyone does have questions, there's a Q&A panel. If you enter those there, we will take any questions. And also, if they just show up in chat, we can try to keep track of those. The initial first one I'm seeing for voice and chat, can this be limited to friends only? Let's see, who on our panel would like to take that one? Eric, I'm gonna volunteer you for it.
Yeah. So any of our chat, voice or text chat, you control who gets to hear or read that information. As a developer, you get to say, this player gets into this channel or this player doesn't get into that channel. So you can restrict it down to parties. You can make it general chat, or as in 3D positional voice, you'd want everyone in the world, but you can restrict it as tightly as 2 people, or as wide as everyone in your world.
Thank you, Eric. Ruben, are there any updates regarding WebGL support?
Yes, this is something that we're actively considering, so it's a bit too early to add it to our planned section. But if you're interested in WebGL support, as Esther mentioned, please go to our roadmap page on the Unity website and ask for WebGL support in the suggestion box, and we'll keep track, and we can also contact you eventually once we have a bit more information on when this would happen.
You. So we have another question. I'll point this one to Eric as well. How supportive is Vivox of various networking platforms? This might also be a question for Matt.
I'm not sure what's meant by various networking platforms. So I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay. We have another. How does Vivox work with native platform chat? Players in a Sony party chat, the player boots up our title and then uses Vivox.
For native platforms, it's independent of it. So you would have to be like on the Xbox platform, you'd have to be in either Xbox chat or in Vivox chat. You can't do both at the same time. I believe it's the same on Sony.
All right. And another follow-up is the largest number of concurrent users in a room. And I know that this answer varies. It depends on if the player is using a 3D channel or a 2D channel. But
So
the actual number?
The current answer for that is 200. I know some additional work is being put into for large channels. I think Ravon can speak more to that.
Yes, for larger channels, this is something that we're also considering. One thing to be mindful of is how this can affect service when you're in our multi-tenant environment. So if you are interested in very large 3D channel, I invite you to contact us. This will be available for customers who sign up to our dedicated hosting.
Thank you. Now we have a text question for Esther. Is there a limit to how many channels individual user can be in at once?
No, people can be
okay.
in multiple channels at the same time. The number of participants in a channel may be limited depending on what kind of channel that they are in, but they can definitely be in multiple channels for text as well as for voice.
All right, and I see 3 more, and it looks like those are all being handled in. Oh, we got a new one. I think we've got 2 questions related to creating group chats. And though I believe it was already answered through the text portion.
I think there's a question about group chat, and yes, we are able. You can create chats of any size, basically. Just basically create channels, and then you can limit the number of participants in it. So that's really up to you.
Okay, is it possible to moderate voice chat? Depending on how what you refer to as moderation, we have several products that are in the works that aim to assist with moderating voice chat. Esther mentioned that we're looking at toxicity analysis, which takes some of the work around having to prioritize and determine where the most toxic incidences are, particularly if you're dealing with reports where the volume of reports may be more than your team is able to handle. We have that is aiming at making that a faster process so that you can more effectively do that. We also further out are working on a entirely self-contained moderation system that we can make available, which is coming further down the line, and it is in the early stages. And as for now, that is all for open questions, unless there are any final questions being typed up.
Yeah, if Jeff had asked this question about various networking platforms, if he wanted to clarify in chat, we could possibly help answer that.
Andrew, did you see the follow-up there from Jeff?
Yeah, no, I see. So in theory, it shouldn't matter if you're using one of those other systems. Like if you're using them for like game networking and you're not using their voice solutions and you're using our voice solution, they should be able to operate in the same project without an issue.
And just a little clarity on that, all of the Vivox surface is hosted within our data centers. So you don't have to host anything on your game server. We host everything on ours, so that makes it a lot easier to plug and play, and that's how we can guarantee that 99.9% uptime.
All right, now we have, looks like 2 speech-to-text related questions. The first is there a translation service? We currently only support same language. So that is, say, if I'm speaking in English, we're transcribing in English. We don't currently have a plan to do any translation, but if there is demand for that, please reach out to us and we can take it into consideration. And another speech-to-text question. Can use that feature to capture text and use it as a mechanic for the game. An example, players are talking, someone says red, and a red light on the map turns on. So the way our speech to text works is that the messages based on what the player says, the information is transcribed, it's turned on, and it will transcribe that message. It's returned as a text message, as if it were a text-to-text message sent in the chat. So if your game does intercept that and key something off of that, I think that is possible, but it is just treated as if it were a text message coming in. So anything you would do with a text message, you could similarly do with a speech-to-text message.
I'll add just a touch to that answer, Nick, is that depending on the kind of game you're building and all that, if you have latency concerns, today our speech-to-text services rely on round trips out to cloud services and things like that. So if you had like a real-time requirement, might not work here, but if you wanted to do something that was a little bit more tolerant of a couple of seconds or something like that, probably would be worth experimenting with.
Yes, good point, Matt. That the way speech-to-text works is that it does wait for typically waiting a few seconds at least for completed phrases. The accuracy is improved when there are more words to work off of. So it does not, unless someone just speaks and then stops speaking, saying 1 or 2 words. If someone continues to speak, it will wait until there is a break in that speech before the transcription is returned. Okay, we have one, Du's answering in the chat, and a question around, let's see. If the Vivox team could provide us with pre-made assets with such as Unity starter asset files, which contain pre-made player controllers. I think, Andrew, you're speaking to samples earlier, and that's probably the the closest answer to this question. If you want to expand on that.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so we're in the process now of actually building out a lot more samples. We're getting a lot of feedback saying that, you know, we have a basic sample in there now that was actually shown in the demo, but we plan on actually enhancing more samples or different use cases, multiplayer, first-person shooter, whatever it is, to kind of help with that reverse engineer, kind of drop in your game, your project, and kind of work around that. That is coming. There's no timeline on that yet, but that's the process. So right now you can see that there's an in-chat game sample on the Unity dashboard, and there's also a lobby sample, which is interop project that has Relay, Lobby, and Vivox all together. There is a video that's also there as well if you wanted to see that that sample demo in the Unity dashboard.
All right. And another speech to text question: is speech to text available only in English? Speech to text is available in a little over 100 languages. I think it's something like 110 languages. Text to speech, which is the inverse of that, where it is a text message and then it is presented as audio, that is available only in English, but speech to text is available in 100+ languages.
There's a question from Olivier in the text chat, talking about servers. What about data privacy? Example, encryption. So right now, Vivox Voice does not support encryption. In the future, is something that you know we were interested in entertaining. It would also depend on your use case. So there's two types of encryption that is common on voice chat. There's point-to-point encryption. So the device sends an encrypted voice stream to our servers, where it's decoded, processed, mixed with other incoming voice stream, and then re-encrypted and delivered back to our clients. And that is point-to-point encryption. The other one is end-to-end encryption, where the audio comes from a client encrypted, stays encrypted on our server, and ends up in the receiving client still encrypted. That is a bit more complex. Also, it limits the amount of processing we can do on the audio. So for example, if you were to activate such a feature, you would not have voice moderation, for example, and other services that we offer as part of the Vivox service. So if you are interested in those kind of feature, then again, I encourage you to reach out, and either through the suggestion box on our roadmap or through our sales or solutions architect channels.
Okay, it looks like we are all out of questions for now, at least. We can give it one final call if anyone does have a question that hasn't been answered yet. Otherwise, I will hand it back to Matt. I think Matt's the one closing.
Sure. I wanted to say thank you to all of our participants and the panelists today for joining us. Hope you learned a little bit of something here. And I'll again stress that we do want to hear your ideas for improvements and want to hear from you about how you're succeeding or struggling to succeed with the product. And we look forward to the creations that you come up with. Thanks for your time, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right.